Well, folks, it looks like as 2023 comes to a close, Wizards of the Coast is swinging for the fences in an attempt to regain a little bit of what they lost in terms of player interest. Of course, I mentioned in a video just the other day about their re-release of original Dungeons & Dragons that they're slating for June. That'll be buried inside a monstrous 500-page historical tome, so how usable that will be if you want to play original Dungeons & Dragons is anyone's guess, but it is nice to see that they're doing something regarding the history of the game. But the other thing, and this just popped up the other day, and I found this to be just downright fascinating news, and I think you'll agree, is a coming classic AD&D/OD&D re-release. But before we get into that, folks, of course, if you haven't already, please do click the subscribe button. Please click the bell icon for notifications, and that way you can stay abreast of all of the tabletop RPG news that I have got on hand to bring you. And if you like what we do here and you'd like to support the show, please check us out on Patreon or via our YouTube memberships, and you can help keep us going for as little as $1 a month. Every little bit helps, but most of all, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. With that said, let's dive straight into this. And again, this comes from wargamer.com. And we'll give that a quick look here. Let's open that up. And this is the D&D release schedule 2024. 2024 is a big year for Dungeons & Dragons. Here's what's coming in the D&D 2024 release schedule, including core releases for 1D&D. That's 6th edition for, everybody else in the world except the people who are going from Wizards of the Coast ad copy. And so the piece starts. At long last, we know what to expect from the D&D release schedule 2024. Wizards of the Coast has revealed the next slew of rulebooks and adventures for Dungeons & Dragons, and there's a lot coming in the game's 50th anniversary, so it never hurts to get clued in early. Here you'll find all there is to know about the D&D 2024 release schedule. This includes the latest information about the core D&D books we'd been calling 1D&D, which bring a major overhaul to your favorite D&D classes, races, and more. Additionally, we'll also cover the D&D campaigns that we've been eagerly awaiting since the days of the D&D 2023 release schedule. Here's what's coming on the D&D release schedule in 2024. Descent into the Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth. So we're not going to dive into too much more of this stuff, except a passing mention that they also note the making of original Dungeons & Dragons 1970 to 1976. So let's take a gander at this, and we can presume that this is supposed to be a B here. The colors aren't exactly right, but it's got a lot of legs, and it's breathing lightning, so there we go. Descent into the Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth. I keep saying Tsojcanth because that's what the original module was called, but Tsojcanth. Descent into the Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth revives the classic first edition adventure, Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth. It's a single-session dungeon crawl that'll evoke the feeling of an adventure module from 50 years ago, complete with a tournament scoring system to see how well you fared. We don't know if the story beats will be the same, but we expect Wizards will include more than a few nods to the original adventure. Given how many different combat scenarios it featured, we're expecting to see plenty of giants, Umber Hulks, and maybe a D&D vampire or two. Wizards of the Coast says this will be one of multiple events that celebrate play, with sessions being run in stores and conventions as part of the anniversary celebration. That word multiple seems to hint we'll be getting more of these at some point. And then they start over on some stuff about Vecna and so on that is a little bit out of the scope of this video. So let me just share my opinions on this with you guys. First of all, I don't think this is going to be a full re-release unless they follow their format of modules being hardback books. And then they may just take the retype set versions that they have for the Dungeons of Despair S1 to 4, or is that Dungeons of Dread? I believe it's Dungeons of Dread. But anyway, S1 to S4 hardback that they released in 2014, and just slap that in there and say, oh, look, here's the original. If you want to mess around with that too, give us your money, grognards. Now, at first I was a little put off by the fact that it talks about it being a single session. The original tournament module was meant to be played in a single session, in a single 4 or 5 hour tournament setting. So, is that an entirely unreasonable approach? I don't know. When I've run the module as a campaign module in my own settings at my own table, I can tell you, as a dungeon master, it is a very, very full series of multiple sessions that requires a lot of skullduggery, which brings us to the next point. How much of the module's requirements to think and use your brain to sort your way through the module instead of I roll perception will be preserved in this rendition of the module. I don't know. The cynical side of me says that it's probably going to be pretty gutted. They're going to have the Be Here, the demons, and the encounter with Drelsna, and everything else will just be largely glossed over. But I could be wrong. What do you think this new presentation will be like? I want to know. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is just another cynical cash grab? If they are going to include the original Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth, is it an attempt to siphon money away from grognards who have more cash than common sense and are willing to forgive Wizards of the Coast their trespasses? Or is it time to reward good behavior with good rewards and say, okay, you've made this classic available again, I can ignore the 5e, or rather 6e stuff, and just have a handy copy of the original? Or do you just not give a fig about this at all, and you're going to hang on to your original brown-covered S4 and play it and pretend that none of this happened? As I said, please do leave a comment below. And again, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, give us a subscription. We do lots of fun stuff. 5 nights a week, live streams, actual plays of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We even have our own virtual convention every spring right here. It's the best kind of convention in the world, the one you can enjoy from the comfort of your own home. But until next time, guys, keep your steaks, your garlic, and your holy symbol handy, and don't readily trust anything from Wizards of the Coast right off the bat. Peace.